Clovercrest Media Group presents a CMG podcast. Keys to the City.
Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know.
Crossed up by Kobe, little floated to Shaq, and then Shaq goes like this, and the rest is history. Pay attention. Don't tell me what to do, devil woman. But speaking of those Lakers, hold on. But I didn't make my. I said Denver's gonna win. Yeah, you did. You said that.
There's no other show like that. Clovercrest is doing great things right now.
Streaming everywhere.
Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future home buyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of home ownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Throwing jabs, always full send. Here we go again. Jared, Joe, and Jay's Clovercrest, top three corner man, punching in with a puncher's chance. We find a way to win. The main event, locked it in every Saturday at 10. The overhand is out of hand when it comes to fisticuffs. Slide a hand on the undercard, you'll never see the punch. Uppercut, got you missing weight, feet are stepping late. Keep your guard up, feeling faint from a feint. Take a stand and eight, then retaliate. Put up your duke, stick and move, bob and weave. Don't lose hope against the ropes, there's always an escape. Never stay down. One more round, bells ringing, counter punch with your chin tucked and go down swinging. We bringing crosses with no worship, hooks with no verses, combinations with no locks. When you feel the flurry, it's curtains. From scrub scraps to fight stats, relax if you want the facts, cause the best combat podcast is throwing jabs.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is a Saturday morning, so it's fight day. You know what that means. It's throwing jabs time. Big Jace, Joe Aguirre, and Jared Jones here. And it's been a while. It feels like it's been forever since we've done one of these. So much so we got to go all the way back to recap UFC 270. Let's start off with the co-main event. Yeah. Deiveson Figueiredo. Jared, I'll give you your shine in the light. You had Fig getting it done. He was able to get it done via unanimous decision. Since you picked it right, we'll start with you. What'd you think of the fight?
Oh, great fight. Great fight. I'd watch these guys fight over and over again. Just entertaining as hell. And I've always liked Fig. Moreno's better than I thought. This kid came I thought he was above average and good for, his positioning. The Ultimate Fighter looked all right, but Fig was another level for me. So I guess having these guys fight again, I'm still trying to figure out if Moreno's that good or Figueiredo's not as good as I thought he was, kind of. You know what I'm saying? And I think these are both elite fighters. This is the type of fight where those guys beat most everybody else in the division, like we talk about with Jan and Sterling, or in some of the other weight classes where there's just not Holloway. The next guy, just wonderful fight.
Yeah, maybe. I think Kai Kara France is like the only other guy I want to maybe step in there. But Joe, is this going to turn into the first ever 4-time UFC fight?
Well, I'm sure my brother's going to chime in and bring up Robinson and LaMotta, the fact that they fought 7 times because there was nobody good enough. I don't want to see these guys immediately fight, but I'll say this: look, they've got an hour and a half of ring time together. I'm not sure who the better guy is, and me personally, I've picked the wrong guy in each fight. So I agree with a lot of what you said. I'm not sure if Figueiredo's not as good as we thought, or if Moreno really is at his level. What I'd like to see, honestly, is get guy 2 and 4, or 3 and 4 in this division, do a little tournament, and let's see where we end up. That way these guys can kind of both earn their way back to probably facing each other again. But they just can't keep fighting. It can't just keep. We're not going to do 4, 3 months from now. It can't work that way, especially because if Moreno wins, then we're going to want to run back 5. We're going to have to. So, do a little tournament style thing, and let's see what's what.
Yeah. And good comment here about Tony. They're so evenly matched like Holloway and Volkanovski, right? But also, like, they are also that one illegal shot from Fig away from being Holloway and Volkanovski. They would have been so evenly matched, but maybe Fig would have taken those first 2. But I don't know.
Funny, I bring up LaMotta and Robinson, and so then he brings up Volkanovski and Holloway. I see how it is. All right.
You guys each have one of these. Askarov and Kara France. Give me Fig and Kara France. Askarov and Moreno. And then if they both win, run it back. But answer that question for me. That's what I want from the UFC right now is I had Fig up here, Moreno in the upper echelon. Which one of these 2 things happened here? Because these 2 guys are evenly matched. So 2 other guys, and show me that this is Holloway Volkanovski. I agree with Tony's comment here. I agree with that. But show me, UFC. Show me that. Don't have these 2 guys fight over and over and over because we're not sure yet. Askarov hasn't taken a loss yet. Like, let's show us that these are those 2 guys, and then let us watch them again. Because you're right, Joe. Fig pulls it off. Now we have to run it back.
Yeah, but it's interesting because, I mean, even if Fig isn't as good as we thought he was, we do need to see some more blood because maybe the gap isn't as big. But, I mean, I don't know. Both those guys, Askarov and Kai France, I think, need to get into the mix, and it could be.
See, but I still think Volkanovski, if him and Holloway fought next weekend, I think they would go the distance, and I think Volkanovski would win again.
Yeah,
close. I think it'd be another 3-2-er, but I that's the difference. I think right now in that one over this one is as close as they were. Like I said, as somebody who's a huge Max Holloway fan, he lost both fights. I know a lot of people ride the bitter bus on that one. He won the second fight. He didn't. It was just as close as the first fight and just as frustrating if you're Max Holloway or a Max Holloway fan. But that's the reality of it.
Tell those guys Triple G's undefeated and see what they say. Those guys that say that, tell them Triple G's undefeated. Because watch the fights. I'm not saying he is.
Yeah. Feels like he should be.
If you're making those arguments, though, you've got Canelo up here and Triple G just kind of filtering out of that. And did he look? I mean, the first one, man. I digress.
All right. Let's keep things moving along. The main event.
You know what, real quick, maybe we should do a sideshow at some point and we can talk about the worst decisions and how it affected certain fighters. You know, guys who maybe should be undefeated or should have had a win that they got taken away, and what kind of a difference that made for them.
Well, and not always devastatingly. I look back to the Roy Jones, the biggest robbery maybe of all time, and I think did that have a hand in making Roy Jones Jr. who he was? Man, he was great. But yeah, getting robbed like that and going home and crying it out. And, you know, when you rebuild, and I'm still going to be a fighter, and I'm going back, and I'm going to do this, some ferocious things can happen inside of you. Who was the guy last week? Did he grow from that or not? We have to wait and see him fight to see if that was the real guy or not. Yeah, Roy grew from that. So those might be two different lists. Guys that got robbed and grew from it, and guys that got robbed and fell apart.
Well, don't let it be lost on you that when he asked his opponent who won that fight, he was like, "You did." And because Roy was like, "Yeah, I knew I won. Like I knew it." And that guy was like, "Oh yeah, no, you did. You totally did. I don't know why it went that way. Because we're in Korea, obviously, that's why it went that way. But yeah, so I think Roy at least walked away knowing that guy knows, I know, everybody watching, everybody in attendance knows. Those three people sitting there, I saw it a little different.
That's fair enough. Every time I hear that, it reminds me of Dizzle and I's fight at Scrubs, who went out there and without the helmets on. You know, I'm not trying to kill the kid, and it's a glorified sparring session. One of the judges gave Dizzle a round, and he won't. It never goes. He knows, like you're saying, he knows. I know. That one guy who happened to be holding a piece of paper at the time, he didn't see the fight.
Yeah, the only one that didn't know.
Yeah, and Roy, it was that bad. Hey, I won, right? Yeah, you won. No, yeah, you won. Yeah, I'm positive. He
said he would have been pissed if that guy would have said, "No, I won the fight," and like immediately was like, "Yeah, no, I don't know. I appreciate I won, but yeah, it shouldn't have been." So that helped.
Yeah,
that definitely helped.
Yeah, but all right.
Turned into Roy Jones. If he hadn't, we wouldn't remember that fight.
And by the way, Tony commented in the comments as well, Prime Roy is the best fighter I've seen in my lifetime. I 100% concur with that statement. You know, and it's funny. I could have loved Floyd Mayweather if he would have gone about business like Roy Jones Jr. did.
I mean, the whole business aspect of the fight game has been ruined by Floyd.
What I mean to say is, what I loved most about Roy Jones Jr. was his ability to not get hit, his ability to, at times, taunt his opponent, stick his face out there for you to swing and miss that so he could counter left you. It was like a joke. He was on such another level against most of the guys that he fought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like to watch Floyd and to see the way Floyd fought. If Floyd was fighting the best and doing all that stuff, I would be a big fan. That's what I'm saying. He could have been in that mold, and I think maybe he thinks he is, but I don't agree.
Yeah, I mean, that's why everyone talks about him ruining boxing and all that stuff, because of that business mindset and chasing the zero. But let's get back to the recap of UFC 270 as Francis Ngannou pulls out his first ever decision victory, and also just pulling out wrestling and takedowns and slams just out of nowhere. Oh, and he also had like an injured ACL and MCL. So, yeah, I mean, if you can't give Francis Ngannou the respect now, he's got the belt and he's a free agent now. Joe, like, what are your thoughts?
Well, I guess, and I know I've said this a couple of times in the last couple of years, you were right. Apparently, Francis Ngannou's a great wrestler. And apparently, Kamaru Usman had taught him some amazing things in a really short amount of time. And Francis, to his credit, has certainly taken right to it. This was, I'll put it to you like this, Chase. This was the best thing Francis Ngannou could have ever done to impress me. Because it would have been easy to knock Cyril Gane out. It would have been. third round, fourth, any round, first round, any round, it would have just been easy. And I would have still said, I'm probably right, though, Jace, that Gane's the better fighter. And that Ngannou's probably not better than Stipe or anybody really in that top 5, outside of the fact that he could knock people out. This is what I needed to see. And this is what he did. And I'm so impressed by Ngannou and the fact that he is, I now think probably I'll change my total assessment to he's the most dangerous person on the planet. The size, the strength, and his abilities, where he's come from, a guy who couldn't get off his back against Stipe, that was bad.
That who are you bringing to a street fight meme with all the different faces? Yeah, the answer is Francis Ngannou. I agree.
Easily. I mean, not only for all, but he even just has the appearance of the scariest person on the planet. And now that you know that there's no way to really get at him, good luck.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. When you invite a couple people to a fight, well, come on, bring it on then. Ngannou, come here. All right, what did she say? I told you stop talking to that man like that. She was just playing. She was just playing, dog.
Dude, imagine if you had to fight Hercules and he's wearing boots, thick boots. You're no chance. You're done. Just like that.
Oh, but I mean, you're right about not even just laying on his back against Stipe. Going from that to the worst performance ever in the UFC with him to Derek Lewis to this, like, it's crazy. If he can continue to grow and adapt, like, what is the ceiling for this guy?
I want to see him fight Derek Lewis again.
His ceiling, Jace, is everything that I said about Cyril Gane. I mean, you guys know when I started saying Cyril Gane UFC heavyweight champion, people were saying who, and looking him up like I was talking about a volleyball player or something. Now it's kind of a household name, and I've been waiting for this. This was the guy he was supposed to beat. I had all my matchups and the way they're gonna go. 5 of them I picked. I was doing well. Usyk over Joshua. Nobody would have thought when I said it. And I would watch this again. I think these are the 2 best guys. I would honestly watch this again. I don't think you can give Gane the rematch right away. What has he done to deserve an immediate rematch? And Ngannou, if he wins 3, 4, 5 fights in a row, I'm not going to be shocked. This was the best competition that the UFC had for him.
Yeah.
Was Cyril Gane. And you know, well, back to the most scary. If Francis Ngannou smacked my mom in front of me, I'll be like, whoa. Bitch, what did you do? Come on. Leave that man alone. Leave that man alone, Mom.
Oh, God. But I think the only, like, next logical step, it's got to be John Jones has to enter the fray somehow, right?
John Jones has to
want to talk about him.
I'm sorry.
I mean, all the.
What has it been, like 3 years since he fought anybody?
No,
I'm sorry.
I know.
I'm sorry, but listen, I love John Jones more than probably anybody on this show, and probably more than anybody watching. I probably do. But you can't just show up in a different division 3 years inactive and fight for it. That doesn't work. Also, I think you'd be doing yourself, if you're John Jones, a terrible disservice. I think you got to get in the ring with a heavyweight first.
Yeah.
You got to see what that really feels like, and then beat that guy, and then we'll talk about.
Tuivasa, Rosenstruck, Walt Harris. I'd watch most of these guys. Volkov. All of that. John makes sense with John Jones. What does he get this fight for? That bothers me because there's other people that all those guys I just named. Let's Stipe back in there. You said Lewis, Blades, and Lewis are interchangeable for me. All of those guys deserve a fight more than John Jones. John Jones deserves a fight on Trilla.
Yeah.
He should
box
Tito Ortiz or something, because this is like, I'm not interested. It's not, he's not a fighter. You know what it says? Inactive. Look him up anywhere. Inactive. Enough said.
Well, just like this Henry Cejudo thing, retired. If you're not in the game, you don't get to just call the next fight. You don't get to fight for the championship.
John Jones, this was the Anderson Silva of that weight class. He's beaten anybody there, hands down. It was Mighty Mouse, Anderson Silva, John Jones. Those were my guys, and this is not my guy anymore. There's nothing about him that's my guy. He's retired. He's never gonna fight again. If he proves me wrong, fine. Until then, too much airtime for John Jones as a mention of his name.
Yeah, okay. I get that, but I've said this since he's talked about going to heavyweight, or since he's brought it up. I think he's going to fight Stipe and then take on Ngannou, and that's probably, if I had to guess, that's going to be the end of John Jones's career. He's going to fight Stipe, go after Ngannou. If he wins the belt, I maybe hold on to it, but I don't know if he can. But yeah, should be interesting.
I love that. Hold on. I love that in your fantasy world where John Jones hasn't fought in 3 years. He puts on 40 pounds. He beats the two greatest heavyweights in history back to back, and then probably holds it for a while.
Beat him.
What? What? You just said he was going to fight. Have to fight Stipe and Ngannou, and then you thought he would hold the belt for a while. Which
no, I said then
like
that
was
no. I said that was going to be the end of his career. Those are going to be his last two fights.
Oh, he's just going to retire.
Yeah, because Francis is going to beat him, and then he's got nothing else to really do. And I think he beats.
Is Francis still going to be in the UFC by the time John gets back to active status?
Oh, that's a good point Tony brings up. Francis going back to boxing for real money. But I mean his contract, he's no longer contractually obligated with the UFC, right? The thing when that gets brought up, and I think Dana learned from the McGregor thing. I think that was too much of a mess for him, so I don't think he wants to do that again. So yeah. I can see Francis doing that.
If you want to change my perception of Francis Ngannou as the baddest man on the planet, put him in a boxing match with Tyson Fury, and I guarantee I'll change my mind. And I'll say the scariest guy on the planet is Tyson Fury.
See, but okay, I don't want to see him fight Tyson Fury because I mean he doesn't deserve the. I want to see Francis versus Wilder. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, but I guess my question is if he's fighting, if he takes a fight with Tyson Fury, he's probably making 20 mil.
You're not wrong.
If he fights Deontay Wilder, they're getting like 6-7.
Yeah, but that's still
good money. But if I'm going to go and fight a one-off for big money quick, it's probably going to be the top dog. It's going to be the guy that's going to give me the most amount of cash.
But do you think they would let someone from just the UFC come and fight the champion?
Tyson Fury can do whatever he wants.
I guess.
Yeah, there's no commission in boxing.
I guess. All right. Yeah, okay. I mean, speaking of Tyson Fury, I'm sure he'll come up on our Who You Got a little bit, but let's move on to that. We wrote it last week when we were all snowed in the Northeast. There was still some snow and some ice a little bit, so maybe some people are. The idea was top 5 most watched, and then it was top 10 because we didn't have fights to talk about. Brought down top 5 most watched fights. Fights you can just sit down on a day off and just watch. Enjoy, or if you haven't seen them, watch them for the first time because you need to watch them. Joe, what's your list? Who you got?
All right. Well, if you're the nostalgic type, you should definitely go with Ali Frazier 1 and 2. I'm just gonna combo though as one because if you're gonna watch the first, you got to watch the second. It only makes sense. Gotti Ward, the first fight for sure. Bowen Holyfield, probably watch fights 2 and 3 if you really wanna get it. Who's not? If you're locked in your house and you love fighting and you've never seen Hagler Hearns, do it. And if you have seen Hagler Hearns, why not do it again? It's one of my favorites. And my final here on the top 5, although honorable mention to any fight Max Holloway's ever been in, would be Robinson Lamata 7.
Oh, I like that. Is that a full boxing list, Joe?
No. Mostly.
Oh, God. This guy's after my heart. Whoo! How did I miss that? The mouthpiece battle. Corrales Castillo. Beautiful. You haven't seen that. Watch their first fight. My goodness.
That was on my top 10 list.
Whoo!
At number 10.
Was one of the greatest fights I've ever seen.
All right. Jared, who you got?
Gotti Ward 1, I'm going to start with because Joe already said it. One of them you just saw a few weeks ago. Any guesses? Fury Wilder 3 is one of the greatest heavyweight fights you're ever going to see in your life. As far as a fight. As far as skill goes, give me Ali Foreman. Rumble in the Jungle. Now, these are the two that you may not have seen that you definitely have to go back and fight. They both involve a guy named Courtney Burton. One of them, he fought Emmanuel Augustus. Now, Emmanuel Augustus is my favorite fighter of all time. The most entertaining, drunken master. He dances around in there. He's got like 40 losses, but the guy's a monster. Floyd Mayweather said it's the toughest opponent he ever fought was Emmanuel Augustus. So that's my favorite guy. He fought Courtney Burton. He whooped his ass and got robbed for the decision. If you've ever heard the clip, the one you'll recognize is Teddy Atlas. The wrong guy won this fight. Freaking out at the end of the fight. Courtney Burton, Emmanuel Augustus. Go watch it. Number 1. Also Courtney Burton. Oh, spoiler alert, getting KO'd late by a guy who came up in weight, took the fight late. Ebo Elder. Watch that fight. Ebo Elder versus Courtney Burton. Amazing, amazing battle between those two guys. Augustus Mickey Ward was a banger. You dead right, Tony. Yeah. Emmanuel Augustus was in a lot of great fights and doesn't have the acclaim because of his record.
Yeah. All right. These are some solid lists. But all right. I'm glad I went more of a UFC list, though. I will say that because you guys, I figured you guys have boxing covered. So I will start off with my 2 boxing fights I have on there. I have Mayweather Pacquiao. That's more like a me thing. That was really the first fight I saw and like understood that boxing wasn't just punching in the face. It was more of the sweet science. So I got to put that on my list just for that factor alone. And then I really wanted to put Wilder Fury 3, but I put Wilder Fury 1 because that is just a wild ride. You got Fury just doing his thing. And then at the end, Wilder pulls out that punch that everyone thinks stops the show. And then Fury gets up. And that just sets the foundation for the whole trilogy and just makes it that much enjoyable. So I'm going to start there. And now into the UFC ones. I know we just talked about them a little bit. I got to bring it up again. John Jones versus Alexander Gustafsson 1. When both the fighters are getting carried into the locker room in like a stretcher, you know they put on a show. You know they put everything out there. And then that's what happened. John Jones got the nod, but that's one of those fights that, honestly, if it went either way, I wouldn't be upset. And they just put it all out there. They were just destroyed. I think there's like reports that John Jones was in a wheelchair right after the fight in the back. So, yeah, they just put it all out there and went to war. Speaking of war, I got Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald. Rory McDonald's nose all banged up, bloody. Robbie Lawler got the cut over his lip, splitting apart. It was just straight war, straight madness, just blood, like the gladiator type stuff, Roman Coliseum type stuff. They were just going to war, and eventually, Rory McDonald couldn't do it anymore, couldn't breathe out of his nose because of all the blood in it. And it ended in the 5th, but I mean that is just pure carnage. And then my favorite fighter of all time, Cain Velasquez versus Junior Dos Santos. I'm gonna go 2, but 2 and 3 I think both kind of fit the mold here. This was the first time we really saw a heavyweight. I mean, Cain went 3 rounds with Czech Congo, but I mean, this is the first time saw a heavyweight come out, go 5 rounds, put the pace on you, and do that. And he just took control right after that loss, right after losing the belt to get by getting TKO'd by Junior Dos Santos. He comes back, puts on a unanimous decision performance. Then in the 3rd fight, just too much and just finishes it. But yeah, I mean, just seeing a heavyweight in a division that's ruled by knockouts, and at the time was, I mean, and wrestling, to see a guy just come in and just put that pace on you, especially at that big size, and just constantly come forward. Yeah, I think that honestly changed the whole game of MMA to what we have today.
I'm surprised you left out Whaley versus Junchachik.
Yeah,
whatever her name is.
Good fight.
That was
another
been on the top 10.
Mention you reminded me of Pete Sell and Scott Smith. Not so much the whole fight as the ending, but definitely a must-see. Guy gets hit with a body shot, broken ribs. He's wandering over into the corner when watch that. Pete Sell, Scott Smith.
Yeah. Well, one more honorable mention, if we're gonna though, Barry and Congo. That fight is one that I've watched that fight. My God, I bet you I watched that fight at least once a month. I love that fight. That was a great one. Yeah, it is.
Just the ebbs and flows. The point you think Pat Barry's knocked out, there's a point you think Czech Congo's knocked out, and it just keeps switching, and then it is wild. Yeah, but there's just too many fights. Top 5 was hard. I mean, even top 10 when we were going to do it last week was hard enough. But yeah, I mean.
And Volkanovski Holloway, I think that's definitely one. Again, you want to watch a couple of bangers. It's nonstop action. It's just. Oh, you know what else I just watched the other night was Bisping and he got knocked out.
Rockhold?
No, because I hate Luke Rockhold, so I wouldn't have watched that one. He caught a short right from
Gaslam?
No, just watched it. Oh, goodness gracious.
It wasn't the Hendo one, was it?
No, I wish I hadn't even brought it up.
Yeah, okay. But all right. Well, while you think of that, Joe, let's take a quick break and we'll get back preview the fights coming up today. So stay tuned.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEX Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEX Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut.
Saturday night UFC Fight Night, Hermansson versus Strickland, features a main event between middleweights Jack Hermansson and Sean Strickland. Let's break it down. Jack the Joker Hermansson is 33 years old. He's 6'1" with a 77.5-inch reach and a record of 22-6 with 11 knockouts and 6 submissions. From Uddevalla, Sweden, he took up Greco-Roman wrestling at the age of 9, and after winning the national title, transitioned first into Muay Thai and then into mixed martial arts. After a short amateur career, he turned pro in July of 2010, scoring a third-round knockout, and quickly went 5-0 all by stoppage before briefly joining Bellator, where he lost his only 2 fights for the organization by decision and submission, respectively. He bounced back with a third-round knockout of Enoch Torres, and after winning his next 7 fights with 5 finishes, he finally made his UFC debut in 2016, scoring a unanimous decision over Scott Ashcombe. He then won 6 of his next 8, losing via triangle choke to Cesar Ferreira and TKO to Thiago Santos, before scoring guillotine choke submissions of Gerald Mearshart and David Branch, and a dominant unanimous decision over Jacare Souza. After signing a 6-fight contract with the UFC, he faced current number 3 contender Jared Cannonier, putting up a decent performance in the first round before getting dropped in the second with an uppercut and finished with ground and pound. 8 months later, he made sure work of perennial contender Kelvin Gastelum, submitting him in the first round with a heel hook. After having 2 headlining events with Darren Till and Kevin Holland canceled due to medical reasons, he faced last-minute replacement Marvin Vettori, getting dropped in the first round and dominated on the ground by the Italian en route to a unanimous decision loss that nonetheless garnered him a Fight of the Night bonus. After overcoming a bout with COVID-19, he returned on May 22nd, 2021, surviving an early assault from up-and-comer Adim Shabazian before steadily taking over and dominating with his wrestling and scoring a unanimous decision. A crafty striker, Hermansson has the ability to be effective from either stance and is great at setting up his powerful combinations through his use of feints. He's also among the best grapplers in the division, with 4 of his last 6 victories coming by submission. Sean Strickland is 30 years old. He's 6'1" with a 76-inch reach and a record of 23-3 with 10 knockouts and 4 submissions. From Corona, California, he took up martial arts at the age of 14 in order to spend time away from his abusive household. He turned pro in 2008 at 16 years old in the King of the Cage promotion with a second-round rear naked choke. After going 13-0 with 10 stoppages, he made his UFC debut in 2014, scoring a submission over Bubba McDaniel. The following year, he suffered his first loss, a unanimous decision, to Santiago Ponzinibbio, but bounced back with 3 straight wins, including a third-round knockout of Alex Garcia and a split decision over Tom Breeze, before dropping another unanimous decision, this time to future welterweight kingpin Kamaru Usman. After a brutal back-and-forth fight with Court McGee that was originally ruled a draw until a calculating error was discovered, declaring a decision victory for Strickland, he was knocked out in 1 round by a vicious spinning wheel kick by Eluz dos Santos in May of 2018. He finished out the year with a second-round TKO over Nordine Talib, but was then involved in a devastating motorcycle accident, which resulted in a reconstructive knee surgery, followed by a 2-year layoff to recuperate. He made his return in October of 2020 with a unanimous decision over Jack Marshman, and followed that up with a savage beatdown of Brendan Allen, dropping him with a hard right cross, followed by a left hook, which rendered him defenseless. In May of 2021, he defeated Poland's Krzysztof Jotko by decision, and on July 31st, 2021, he took on the always dangerous Uriah Hall, using a solid 1-2 and superior grappling to thoroughly outclass and dominate Hall en route to a unanimous decision victory. A well-rounded technical striker, Tarzan has good head movement and fights behind a solid jab, which he uses to set up his offense, landing at a rate of 5.4 strikes per minute. Will the heavy power shots and technical striking of Strickland be too much for Hermansson to overcome, or will the world-class wrestling of the Joker prove to be too much as both men seek a chance to rise to the top of this stacked middleweight division? Tune in Saturday night to UFC Fight Night 200, and let's find out.
All right. Sean Strickland gives me kind of like Anthony Lionheart Smith vibes for when he made the jump from middleweight to light heavyweight. I feel like he made that jump. It's good for him. It's not like Kelvin Gastelum because, I mean, it wasn't he was making weight at welterweight. He wasn't forced up here. But, yeah, I just feel like he's finding his groove. But, Joe, what do you think of this, how this is going to play out?
It's going to be a really good fight. Number 6 and 7 in the division. You know, the thing about Sean Strickland that really strikes me is he doesn't really lose. You know, his losses have been outside of 2 decisions in a spinning wheel knockout. That's it in 27 professional fights. He's as tough as they come. I think the problem is he really hasn't had a chance to get in the ring with enough really quality people. You know, his last couple of fights, he's fought really well, but this is a fight he needs. He needs to beat somebody like Hermansson, and that's no easy task either because, you know, again, Hermansson's one of those guys who, I mean, he has a resume that's very impressive. It's a little spotty, but it's very impressive. You know, his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, his last 8 fights are all with name fighters, like pretty big name fighters. He's lost 3 of those, but he's in the ring with these guys. And you know, again, for me, he's such a well-rounded fighter. You know, he submits guys who go the distance. He'll knock you out, a guillotine choke, whatever you need. So I don't know. There's a bit of a toss-up. I'm going to pick Strickland only because I think it goes the distance. And I think Strickland doesn't lose decisions. So there it is.
Well, all right. Jared, what you got?
I mean, this is, Joe said it. This is a tough fight to call.
I'm not betting on this.
No. No. I think if you do the plus 190 on Hermansson is the way to go. If you're flipping a coin, you always take the plus money, and that's all I got here. Yeah, so Hermansson. That's my answer.
Yeah.
There was no follow-up to that. Hermansson?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really, really tough one to pick. Like I like I said earlier, I got those Anthony Lionheart Smith vibes from Sean Strickland.
By the way, these guys between the two of them have about a 50% knockout rate in their wins. So there is a pretty decent chance that somebody could get slipped here. I think I don't think it's a likely outcome, but it would certainly be the most helpful one as far as these guys jockeying to get back into the top 5. You know? So that could only help somebody. I mean, again, for me, if Hermansson goes the distance with Strickland, that's not helping him.
No.
If Strickland goes the distance and beats Hermansson, that's going to be good for him. I think Hermansson needs a knockout to really win the night. I think Strickland can win the night if he goes the distance and wins the fight that way. If he does something super impressive, then I think he really gets the attention, and is maybe another fight away from a title shot.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, the middleweight definitely does need something new going on because, I mean, unless we're gonna go Whitaker, Adesanya again and again, but no, I think Hermansson can. I think Hermansson wins this if he can really use that extra weight, being a natural middleweight. I think if he can lean on him, go in, grapple with him, get him to the ground, maybe cinch in a choke. But I do think Strickland just carries this. I think this is just a better weight class for him, and I think he weathers everything Hermansson has, and I think Strickland is going to be that next guy that we get up there and in the title title talks. I think he might be the new blood. No?
No.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right. I think he's gonna be like Anthony Smith was.
Real quick, too, by the way, the fight I was talking about, and I was wrong, is it wasn't a knockout. He knocked him out, and then it was the Georgia St. Pierre fight.
Okay.
And it was a really great fight. Yeah. He clipped him, and then he went down, and then he ground and pounded him, and he was beating the bejesus out of him, and then he ended up giving up his back, and he choked him out. But that was a really great fight, and I don't think it was one. I don't think I'd seen that one before.
Yeah, that one's crazy because in the first round, who's it? I think Georgia's on bottom, but he's just elbowing the crap out of Bisping.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, it was a bloody fight. That was a really bloody fight, but that's definitely a fun one. And again, one sort of fresh on my mind.
Yeah.
I might have been a little drunk. That's why I couldn't remember the end of it.
Oh yeah, okay. But yeah, the last fight ever in the octagon for George St. Pierre. Yeah, that's a great fight. All right. Speaking of fights, great fights. Fight of the night. I know the UFC fight night. It's all right, but I'm actually looking at boxing for my fight of the night. I got Thurman versus Barrios, baby.
If Mario Barrios doesn't win this fight, Manny Pacquiao jumps up for me. Keith Thurman was supposed to beat Manny Pacquiao. He didn't. I had him up there on this level. Barrios put up a hell of a showing against Tank he just fought.
Yeah.
I like Barrios here. I'm taking Barrios in that fight. Great fight, though. And do we know Pacquiao's the loss? So do we know with Thurman? No, but we're going to find out. Barrios proved we're going to find out. And I take Barrios. And I'm putting him on my putting him on a few round robins, too. So Mario Barrios I like at plus 170.
Yeah. All right. Also, Leo Santo Cruz is on the co-main event, and he's
great boxing matches. There are a list of great boxing matches on these cards.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, here's a fight on this UFC fight card. Brendan Allen is fighting, and I've always liked watching him fight. He's fighting Sam Alvey, and here's the thing about Sam Alvey: he's literally lost like 7 fights in a row. I can't even imagine how this guy's still getting fights. I kid you not. He's lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fights since September of 2018. Had won the 2 previous and then had split the 2 previous before that. His big claim to fame is he beat Rashard Evans. That's it. Like made a career off of that. This guy shouldn't be fighting.
And it was like Rashard Evans' like last fight too.
Yeah, he should be fighting in the prelims. You know what I mean? Like, how's this guy on a fight card? And he gets knocked out a lot.
Yeah, he's a highlight reel like a. He's a highlight.
Yeah, you know him from your favorite fighters' knockout videos.
Yeah. But
taking the mantle from Alistair Overeem. Like, you need someone to knock out, call me.
Yeah. And he like shaves a smiley face into the back of his head. Yeah. I don't know. I guess when you do stuff like that, you're easy to knock out. I don't know. But yeah. All right. Well, so that's going to do it for today's show.
Except for my fight of the night.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Jared?
Now I'm just being mean. I'm gonna warn you ahead of time that this is I'm just being mean. Don't lose a bunch of money. Maybe $5. But the fight I'm really waiting for, you guys know it's on that 5 list. We now lost Cyril Gahn. Clarissa Shields and Savannah Unana. But tonight, We get Emma Kozin at plus 1,600. Be careful with this one. She's a touch bigger. She's got a whole fistful of belts. She's undefeated. Be careful with this one. Clarissa Shields, fight of the night. She might get upset. Pin that to a few things. Plus 1,600 is a good number. This is going to be a lot closer than that, I think. You're muted.
All right. You definitely have some beef with Clarissa Shields. I will say that, Jared.
She's just good.
All right. But, yeah, all right. So that's going to do it for the fights. Solid fight card. Solid boxing and everything tonight. So make sure you check those out and tune in next week as we recap them. But, yeah. That's going to do it. Thanks for Annie Mac Mortgage and JPEX Financial for sponsoring today's episode. Make sure you go check them out. And big shout out to Clovercrest Media for putting this all together. Make sure you check out clovercrestmedia.com for a bunch of great other podcasts, not just sports, true crime, political, anything you got. And if you want to start your own, start it there. clovercrestmedia.com. Make sure you check it out. And for myself, Big Jace, Joe Guire, Jared Jones. We're gonna end the show like we always do. And Jared, hit us with that flurry, brother.
After I heard Tom Brady retired, I was thinking it's funny that we all have these generational talents that were huge for us that may or may not be the same, or get harder and harder to remember and carry on their name as we move on. It got me thinking about people like Joe Namath and Fran Tarkenton, Joe Montana, Terry Bradshaw. And I was thinking, someday you'll be out there and you'll be tossing a football around with some little kid and you'll make a Tom Brady reference. And the little kid will look at you like he doesn't have any idea what you're talking about, and he'll ask, who's Tom Brady? And you'll look at him like he's disrespected the entire game of football, and like he has no history and no culture and no education. And I just want to remind people to be fair to that little kid, because it's the same way most of you just looked at me when I said Fran Tarkenton. Thanks, guys.
Throwing jabs, always full send. Here we go again. Jared, Joe, and Jay's Clovercrest, top three corner man, punching in with a puncher's chance. We find a way to win. The main event, locked it in every Saturday at 10. The overhand is out of hand when it comes to fisticuffs. Slide a hand on the undercard, you'll never see the punch. Uppercut, got you missing weight, feet are stepping late. Keep your guard up, feeling faint from a feint. Take a stand and eight, then retaliate. Put up your duke, stick and move, bob and weave. Don't lose hope against the ropes, there's always an escape. Never stay down. One more round, bells ringing, counter punch with your chin tucked and go down swinging. We bringing crosses with no worship, hooks with no verses, combinations with no locks. When you feel the flurry of curtains, from scrub scraps to fight stats, relax if you want the facts, cause the best combat podcast is Throwing Jabs.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.